Next, we're going to create the hole that goes here for the light, and we're also going to create the side vent here. So go back to your file. We're just going to press tab to go to edit mode, alt H to unhide everything, switch to vertex select, alt right click, alt shift right click, H to hide, hover your mouse over this, press L, H to hide, switch to face select, do Control 1, Z for wireframe. So we can see this circle goes over these three faces, so select these three faces. And if you want to, you can press Control 1. So we have these three faces selected. We're going to need loop tools for this. Go to File, User Preferences, Add-ons, type in loop, turn on loop tools, then close this. Now press I to inset, do a small inset, press W, loop tools, choose circle, S to scale this down, try to get it to roughly the same size as this thing. You can use G to move it, R to rotate, scale it up slightly bigger than that other piece because we're going to be doing another inset here in a minute. But before we do that, we want to move some of these vertices. You can see the geometry is kind of getting stretched in different directions. So what we really need to do is just start moving some of these vertices around to get rid of that stretching, try to straighten things out a bit. Make everything look a little bit nicer. So just select the vertices, just move them around as needed. Try to get some decent shading. Once you're happy with it, just go to face select, select these three, do I to inset, then do E to extrude, right click to cancel, bring these back. Switch this to median point, do S, Y, then 0, press enter. So now this is a flat surface, and we can add in the light later. If you want this to be more of a circular shape, we can add in the subdivision surface later to correct this. To make the next piece, to make this, we're going to use a new image. So we're going to go over here, add an image, click on open, go to wherever you saved your references, and you want to open up the correct image. I'll show you what it is in a second. I'm just going to go to side view by pressing 3. Tab to edit mode. It's going to be this picture, so whatever you saved it as, wherever you saved it, load this picture in underneath the new, this one's the new one. So just load that picture and then go to side view by pressing 3 on the number pad, and then turn off the right view picture by clicking on this eye so that it's only this picture. Then go back to the bottom, hold shift left click to move this over some. Doesn't really matter where we make this because we're just gonna change the position later anyway. So we're gonna do tab to go to object mode, go to create, choose plane, tab into edit mode, R, Y, then 90, press enter, 3 to stay in side view, S to scale this down, G to move it into place. We want the top to be straight, so we want these two to be straight. But we're going to try to position this closer to the reference, so we're going to bring it up, bring it over some, bring this one over so it's a little bit closer. We're going to do a bevel to create this corner here, so don't worry about that. Select this one, grab it on the Y, snap it to this point. Select this one, grab it on the Y, snap it to that point. If you want to, you can make this a little bit bigger because it is kind of at an angle. And then bring these two down to this point. Then we can E to extrude, right click to cancel, bring it down to the final point. And bring it over. We can actually make this one single point if we want, which may have been how I did it on this one. So we're going to select this one, shift select this one, Alt M at last to keep this a straight line. If you want to be sure it's straight, grab it on the Y, hold Control, snap it there. So now really we can adjust. I'm going to make this a bit bigger, a bit wider. But now what we want to do is try to match the curvature on all these points. So select the point, Control Shift and B, mouse wheel up a couple times, try to match the curvature. So what we're going to do is go to vertex select this vertex, shift select this one, Alt M at last. So now what we want to do is Control Shift B, mouse wheel up once to get the curvature that's similar to this. Select this point, Control Shift B, mouse wheel up twice, try to get a similar curvature, and then go to the top, this last one, Control Shift B, mouse wheel up once, do a small bevel, so that should be good for that. Now we want to go to face select, select this face. We're going to do I to inset and do an inset that's small but not too small, so something like that perhaps is going to be good. Go to vertex select. We're just going to select all these and do Alt M at center. And we're going to go down to these bottom ones and do the same thing, select all these, Alt M at center. We want to create these lines here, and to do that we're going to use knife cut. So we're just going to do K, left click on the outer edge, press C to make it a straight line, go all the way across, left click again, and then press enter. Do K again and just repeat the process. Use C to make a straight line, left click, press enter, and then repeat it down here. After you're done making your lines, if you want to adjust them, just go to vertex select, alt right click, and then do Q to slide them into position. You're free to adjust them as you see fit. Once you're done with adjustments, we're going to do A twice. We can now get rid of this picture, so we can just click on the eye, go to the top, click on this eye to bring back this picture. Now we can do G to move this over, S to scale it down, and repeat that process until you have it roughly in position. It's not going to be the same as this reference because I don't think this reference is correct anyway, so we're not going to worry about that. Then we just want to bring it in on the x-axis. Just make sure you have it in the position that you want it at. I think it actually goes closer to here. Once you have it in position from side view, so by pressing 3 to go to side view, you should have it in position where you want it. We're going to add a modifier, shrink wrap, to this object. Click on target, click on the bus. I'll change this to project, turn on negative press tab to go to object mode, and you can see it's snapping to that. So we're just going to apply it in object mode, apply it. Now we can tab to go back to edit mode, E to extrude, right click to cancel, bring this out some, just barely, just a little bit to give it some depth here. We're also going to go to tools, turn on smooth shading, make sure you're in object mode, turn on smooth shading. Now we're going to go to face select. We want to delete the back faces. So we're actually just going to do Control plus, Control I to invert the selection, delete, and then choose faces. That'll delete the faces that were on the back. So now we have this shape here. We can see that the bus is kind of coming through it though. So we're going to select these faces here, do Control plus, move it out slightly again to give us some more room to work with. Now we want to select these faces that need to be inset, so these 4 right here. We're going to do I to inset, do a small inset. Then we're going to do E to extrude, right click to cancel, bring it in slightly. And then you can do I to inset and do a small inset to correct the shading. Don't worry about this, we can fix that. We can actually fix it now. So just in object mode, select the bus, press tab, go to vertex select, select this vertex, and bring it back some until that problem goes away right there, and then you should be all set. So now we have something like this. To kind of correct the shading and make it a bit more flat like it is here, you're just going to select this piece in object mode, tab to edit mode, Control R, left click and drag this up. Do the same on the other side, Control R, left click and drag this up. And now we've got flatter shading, more like they have on the other piece. The last thing to do is to add in the vents, or the little vent pieces that go in here, sort of like I did on this one. To do that, we're going to go to create, we're going to choose plane, tab into edit mode, R, Y, 90, press enter, S to scale it down, scale it down some more, bring it down, 3 for side view. You can use G to move it now, S to scale it down, S, Y to make it longer. Just kind of bring it up, bring it into position wherever you feel is appropriate, and bring these over a little. Now what we want to do is just press A twice, bring it in on the x-axis. We want to try to snap to one of these inner points, so we're just going to do G, then X, hold Control, snap to one of these inner points, and it should be mostly flush with this other piece. If it's not, just do G, then X, and snap it there. But actually, I think a better way to do this is use shrink wrap. So we're just going to pull it out slightly, and then we'll shrink wrap this later. So now what we want to do is do Shift D, press Z to limit it to the Z axis, bring it down until you have some space. But actually, I think I want to make this a little shorter, so I'm going to delete this. Select these two, make this a little shorter so we have shorter vent lines here. A twice, Shift D, Z to limit it to the Z axis, bring it down slightly. Left click, then do Shift R a bunch of times to repeat that until you have enough vent lines. I'm going to actually delete this one. A to select everything and bring it down slightly. So I think this is pretty good in terms of spacing and everything. And I can actually make these a bit longer, so I'm going to select this vertex, B to box select, make these longer. Don't worry about this one overlapping, it's fine. A twice, Shift D, right click to cancel, bring it down. This one I may want one fewer of these. I'll delete that in a minute. Then do Shift D, right click to cancel, bring it down. This one actually needs to be moved out too on the x-axis as well. And I'm probably going to delete one of these as well. So just leave a little space, and then we'll delete this bottom one. Then lastly, do Shift D, right click, bring it down. Gonna have to bring it out a little on the x-axis again. Bring it into position, so there's a little space on the top, and we'll delete the rest of these on the bottom here. So I'm going to select one of these vertices, B to box select, get the rest, delete, choose vertices. I'm going to get rid of this one as well. And I'm actually going to move these up slightly, so I have some even spacing on the top and bottom. This one, I want to delete the top one, so I'm going to delete this one and possibly move these up slightly. And the top one's fine. But I may want to make these a little bit longer, so I'm going to make these a little bit longer. I'm going to adjust these, going to pull these back on this one, and then pull this one back slightly. And pull this one back slightly as well, kind of to match. To create this angular part here, what we can do is K for the knife cut tool, left click on this vertex, create an angle similar to the angle that's right here. Then just left click again, press enter, and then delete all the vertices that are not on that angle, and you get this angle effect. And you can even bring this one back some, and maybe bring this one over some to create a better looking piece there. And you can do the same here. I'm actually going to take these and probably the rest of these actually on this side and just bring them over more. And then on this last one, we're going to do K for the knife cut tool, left click, and then again create a similar angle, left click, press enter, grab these vertices and delete them. So now you have something like this. So these are our little vent lines. And what we can do now is add a shrink wrap modifier. Choose the target as the bus. Change it to project, turn on negative, and apply it in object mode. Then we can tab to edit mode, A to select everything. Then we can E to extrude, right click to cancel, bring it forward until it's sticking through the rest of it. So you should have it sticking through slightly at least. Then we can switch to face select, do Control plus, Control I so we get all the back faces, press delete, choose faces. That just gets rid of all the faces that you can't see. And at this point you're going to want to go through and adjust individually some of the ones that are not sticking through appropriately. So like these pretty much all need to be brought forward slightly at least. You can use C for circle select and middle mouse to deselect. Once you're done with adjustments, just right click to select this in object mode. Go to the materials tab, create a new material. You'll see it change color. Change the color to a darker color. And then change the viewport color to the same color by left clicking on the eyedropper and choosing that color. So now we have our vents in a nice dark color. Next, you want to select this piece in object mode, tab into edit mode. Again, we're going to add a new material. Click on new. Change it to a darker gray to sort of match the bus a bit better. If you want to, you can select this color, click the eyedropper, then click on this color to make sure they're both the same. Then we're going to click the plus button to make a new material. Go to face select, Z for wireframe, and we want to select all these 4 faces here. Click on the new material, click assign, change it to a pure black. Then change this also to the same color. So you just left click here, bring it all the way down, left click here, click the eyedropper, click on the color. And now we have everything all set up. It looks like we have a nice vent similar to the vent over here. You can always adjust the colors if you feel this is too dark or too light. Feel free to change the colors. But I think my colors ended up fairly good. There's one last thing to do, and that's just to join these 2 pieces to the bus. So we're going to select one of these pieces, then shift and select the other piece, then shift and select the bus. Do Control J, that's going to join them together. It's also going to mirror it onto the other side, so we have the vent on both sides now. So that's it for this part. Just going to save it, go to File and Save.